Sleeping Beauty. There once was a good, kind king and his queen. After many years, the queen had a baby girl. The king and queen were very happy and loved the little princess. When the baby princess was christened, the king invited 6 good fairies of the kingdom to a feast at the palace. But the king forgot to invite the 7th fairy, who was mean and wicked but very powerful. The wicked fairy showed up at the palace very angry and said to the baby, "When you turn 16, you will prick your finger on a spinning wheel and die." And then she disappeared. The king and queen were devastated, but one of the good fairies said, "I cannot undo the spell of the wicked fairy, but I can change the curse. Instead of dying, you shall fall asleep for 100 years." Everyone was in despair. The king then shouted, "All spinning wheels of my kingdom must be burned. That way the princess cannot prick her finger on one." And so it was done. When she turned 16, the princess was wandering through the palace and she saw a little staircase she had never seen before. In a room at the top of the staircase, she found an old woman with a spinning wheel. It was the wicked fairy in disguise. "What are you doing?" asked the princess. "I'm spinning. Come, I'll show you," said the wicked fairy. And when the princess put out her hand, she pricked her finger. At once she fell asleep, but the spell was so strong that everyone else in the palace fell asleep as well. The years went by, and a dense forest grew outside, hiding the palace. After 100 years had passed, a prince was walking through the forest when he saw the palace gate. He entered the gate and saw everyone sleeping. He then went to the tower and found the princess asleep. He was so overwhelmed by her beauty that he kissed her gently. She opened her eyes and smiled. "You've come at last," she said. Suddenly, everyone in the palace woke up, and the king quickly thanked the prince for breaking the wicked fairy's spell. The prince then asked if he could marry the princess. "Of course," said the king. "Yes, please," says the princess. The prince and princess had a grand wedding, and they lived happily ever after. The end.